Hey, look, it's always interesting when someone's making a decision on, okay, I want to invest in property. How do they actually decide which one makes for a great investment for their portfolio? And for me, I think they get the focus in the wrong areas because I think they focus on the property first, whereas I think there's a couple of other things that they need to focus on before that. And the first thing for me is I'm a very strong advocate of getting the strategy right. Because ultimately, a lot of people are buying investment property and they've got this goal of, look, I really want to provide for my future, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. So in the absence of a strategy or a plan, I'll just keep buying assets and hope for the best. But if you've actually designed the process and the amount of money or the exit plan, if you like, on what you want to achieve, you can actually reverse engineer what you need to be buying today and hopefully next year and the year after in terms of what asset decisions you need to make. So for me, the number one priority is to get context of strategy first. Now that's understanding what's the purchase price, what the historical growth needs to be, what rental yield am I getting on the property, and how does that overall numbers or overall approach fit into my overall strategy. Because if we can get that right, we can take away a whole layer of anxiety, we can take away the mystery because we know exactly what we need to do. So strategy is critical and it's number one, but it's probably something that I don't see a lot of investors put a lot of energy into, largely because it's quite difficult to really predict going forward, but it's unbelievably crucial. The next thing is not really going to property, it's suburb. Because if you think about all of the suburbs, let's use Australia, 15,000 plus suburbs, some of those suburbs just provide for shelter. It's a basic human need, we need a roof over our head, but they don't quite stack up as investment grade, versus other suburbs that have the dual purpose of being shelter as well as great investment potential. And it's really those suburbs that we need to understand and get better at picking so that you can get better performance. Because if you think about what really makes a suburb investment grade versus just a suburb for shelter, is really around three things: economic activity, human interest, human behaviour. So economic activity is just a fancy way of saying where are the people that live there going to earn their income? Are they close to the central business district? Is there a satellite city around them that they can earn their income from? Because ultimately that's how they're going to pay the mortgage, and ultimately that's how they're going to reduce the amount of debt that they have on their properties and pay for, you know, the basics of life under their roof. So first of all, we need to know that if we're too far away from economic activity, chances are there's a proportional decrease in the performance of the asset. Now overlay that with human interest. So when I'm not working, what do I want to do with my time? Do I want to go down to the local cafe on Saturday morning and get my favourite Eggs Benedict or my favourite latte? Do I want to be able to walk to all the amenities and get to, you know, run all those errands that I need to do on the weekend or after work? Do I want to have great open space or tree-lined streets? You've got to really understand what makes people tick in their free time to understand that human interest. Equally, they want to be able to get to the train or get to the tram or get to the public transport system in the city that allows them to get to their job easily. So those are two things. And then the third one is largely around human behaviour, and two real pole opposites. The status test, or what do people think of me on the positive for living in this suburb, versus maybe the stigma test. On the flip side, what do people think of me if I actually live in a suburb that does have that negative stigma? Because those three things really have an impact on what makes an investment grade suburb different from just a suburb that provides general housing. So you can see the process here: strategy first, then we go suburb second, and then the third one is about going into the property. So you choose that last. You choose the suburb first and the property second. Now that will help a lot of people make better decisions around what they should buy. And then if you overlay my three favourite filters when it comes to property: owner-occupier appeal, investment grade and scarcity, chances are, if you're buying an apartment, for example, and you overlay scarcity, you'll buy small boutique blocks so you can satisfy that criteria rather than the really big ones. Or if you're buying a house, maybe some period charm or period appeal to those properties. The owner-occupier appeal is largely because we need the owner-occupiers are actually going to drive the price, not the investors. So you need that emotional pull to it. And then investment grade, within a certain price point of, call it 300 to 850,000, getting the right sort of type. If it's for me, if it's an apartment, it's an established apartment versus a new one, all those sorts of things. You can start to really make headway into what actually makes for a great investment if you actually do it in reverse to what most people think. So in my view, I see lots of people go, I'm going to buy this type of property And when I'm based on that, I'll then choose my suburb, and then later on I hope I get a strategy. Whereas I think we should reverse it. We should get the strategy done first, then choose the location or suburb, and then finally choose the property. And in my view, if you do it in that order, I think that your portfolio will perform better than average. And in my view, those comparisons that you have with your friends or other people, I think you'll have a really positive comparison, because I think the performance of your portfolio will do much, much better if you do that framework.